Hello, everyone. This is Charlotte EAS 704 along with nobody. Absolutely nobody because I am alone and depressed. Not really, I am not. But this is a collection video because I have added a couple new weather radios to my collection since the last time I made a collection video, which was in February earlier this year, when I collected the good old-fashioned 12-519 and the 12-382, both from Radio Shack. And that seemed like a big upgrade to the collection, but over the months, I've collected even more. And I have 3 more weather radios that are on the way. So the collection does not end here. It will continue, and I'll have to stop for a while when my next 3 arrive in the mail. And I'll tell you what those radios are in a minute. But let's go over the ones that I have bought. On May 27th, I officially bought my 20th weather radio, which was the possessed brick of the Zone Guard Plus. Not Zone Guard Plus, but the original Zone Guard over there at the top right. The possessed brick, as they call it, is my 20th radio. Now, fun fact, my Radio Shack 12-382 had the most wonkiest tuner for the longest time, all the way up until late April. The tuner, the day after I got it, died. It stayed dead until the late February. It came back to life for 10 days, died again for 2 months, came back to life in late April, has worked ever so flawlessly since, activated for every weekly test and every single alert that has gone over this station in the last 5 months when it died. So Radio Shack tuners sometimes, I guess, can just raise themselves from the ashes out of nowhere at any given time. And my 382 came back to life somehow in some way. It survived. It could die at any moment. I don't expect that radio to last very long, but it has shocked me that that thing has gone on. It completes my collection for the 262, the 521, the 261, and 382. It completes that whole Radio Shack lineup of that one sounding classic 262 sounding siren. All those 4 make the same siren as each other. So it completes that whole. I have every radio that completes that. And the 382s are getting rarer by the day. They're not as common as they were on eBay, unfortunately. I mean, I was lucky to snag one, and I thought I wasted $40 on that thing, but it's turned out it's somehow recovered, and it's been working good ever since. That's besides the point. 519 has been working fantastic, too. I have noticed that it and the EAR-10 have both activated on the second header multiple times. Don't know why that is. Could be reception, but WXL70 seems to be pretty crisp. On KHC27, the headers are much more defined than WXL70's. It's a whole nother level, and it triggers all my radios almost twice as fast as they normally would. Sometimes on WXL70 it takes 4 to maybe not seconds, but it takes 2 to 3 extra seconds for most of my radios to activate on a third header. I just don't know why that is. Sometimes they're slower at activating. Unless it's a double header, and then they'll all do the same. On the third tone, they'll all activate pretty much in unison, but sometimes that doesn't always happen. The newest radio that I have added to my collection has been the WR400, besides the Zone Guard. The WR400 I got for a stupid price. I paid over $100 for this thing, and it was probably the dumbest thing that I'd probably bought. No weather radio is worth that much. The WR400 with shipping, which should be free, is worth $70. It is not worth $100. But there were no WR400s that were very affordable on eBay, so I just decided to snag the one that was most available, and that one costed me over $100. And no, it is not worth $100. It is however, the build quality, the siren, just the way it's designed, AM and FM, everything works very well. It's one of Midland's greatest weather radios that they have ever produced, I will admit. Perfect for a single family household or whatever your needs and purposes are. The WR400 will be phenomenal radio. And here's a example of the speaker quality.
Mostly cloudy, with a temperature of 73 at Spaceville, 74 at Raleigh-Durham, 76 at Fayetteville.
And again, it sounds really nice. And overall, the quality is quite well, but it is not worth more than $80. And I screwed myself in the wallet big time. I probably could have bought 4 to 5 radios for the price of one of those. So definitely was not worth it. But to me, I guess it was worth it. Hopefully I'll make that worthwhile in the future. But if you want to buy W400, do not buy it for over $100. I made that mistake. Thunder Buddy 01 bought a radio for like $130, and that was, or $150. I can't remember the name of it, but it was ridiculous. But don't pay more than $80 for that thing. It's not worth it. But it still is a fantastic radio. It's gone off for 2 weekly tests and 3 SVRs. So it works really well. The next radio that I purchased recently was one that I was lucky to get on eBay, and it is the HH54 VP version 15.
Yeah. Thursday, sunny. Highs in the mid-80s. Thursday night, mostly clear.
This is the classic of the HHs. You have the V16 over there, which is my first HH, which I got in December of 2020. This one is the older version of that and is the more classic retro version of the HHs. And it is a rarer version by far. It is about one in about 50 of these, or it might be like 6 in about 50 of these HHs you get on eBay, at least that sold, were version 15s. So they're not half as common as they used to be. Version 14 does exist, but apparently there's only one in the EAS community that is ever known to exist, version 14. So early version 16s are only about 6 to 7 that are only ever known to exist as well. And Mech Union WX has a version 16. He has a 15, a 16, and an early version 16. I was lucky to get this guy off of eBay. It was the only version 15 that I could find, and it did not come with the AC adapter with it. So I've had to buy 2 adapters, and I'll get to another radio that died, the next one, in a minute. I had to buy 2 AC adapters. The one I bought, for some weird reason, it absolutely destroys the reception on the HH and basically makes the channel unusable. So now I have to buy another one that might or might not be compatible with it. So, very classic weather radio right there, the version 15. It's pretty much a perfect radio in all dimensions. Reception is great. The alert tone on the test is actually slower than the V16. That is slower than the V16 for sure. The V16 has a much faster sounding siren, and the button beeps sound different on the V15. How you can tell it's a V15 is that it has the Midland logo on the back of it. That is how you can tell that that is a V15. The next radio, which is a tragedy, is the Radio Shack 12-259 Silver, but the tuner went wonky 2 days after I bought it. So 2 days after I buy this sucker, the tuner goes to absolute dog shit in a can. Which is a shame, because I bought an adapter for it and all. And now I've reordered a 259 beige edition, hoping that the tuner on that, because maybe it's an older version, like the 261 is the older version of the 382, it does not have the wonky tuner like the 382 does. I'm hoping that might be a different, but I've heard bad things about the 259s. And this one I wasted about $40 on. That includes shipping. These radios are, back in the day, were worth like $60. They're really just not worth, for this thing, it is not worth any more than $30 in my opinion. But the tuner went wonky on this guy. It's pretty much unusable. It's not going to recover itself like the 382 did. It's just not. It's slightly different. When you turn it on, it has that crackling sound or whatever. And then it just, after about 5 minutes, it just completely shuts off. And I left it unplugged for like a day or two, and nothing. I get absolutely nothing from it. So it's a bust. in all dimensions. I would avoid the silver 259s. There is a red 259, but those are like unbelievably rare. Getting a red 259 would be insane if you could ever find one, but this one, I would avoid the 259s that are silver for sure, because the tuners are absolutely abysmal. Unfortunately, it's just not worth it. That's a tragedy. I am currently right now at 25 NOAA weather radios if you include the 259, but I'm not going to include it because it's out of service. So I'm at 24 currently. The next radio that I got is the Running Snail MD319. Basically the broken knockoff version of the WR300 in pretty much all dimensions. This is the emergency kit edition, which for some reason it says it's a version 2. It is Running Snail's apparently newest version, because when you plug it in, the date is January 1st, 2022, and not the manufacture date of the version 20, which I think would be 2021. So it is their newest version, and I think that it's fixed the header glitch, just like the V20. It's fixed the header glitch where you have a long sounding header tone, and it would basically crash the radio and you'd have to restart it. Well, I haven't had this problem with this one yet. It went off for an SVR earlier today and it worked perfectly fine. This one has no AM and FM. That's the difference here. It has the channel button. So AM and FM would be here. Instead it has the channel button. And that's how you can switch your channels, just kind of how the 519, you can just switch through the channels. Just listening to the podcast. You don't actually have to go into the radio settings itself to switch it. Well, it's the same way here.
That in 1917, the average temperature was 79.
The speaker is definitely kind of like the AlertWorks. It's quieter. It's not as commanding as some of these other radios on the table. And this is what the siren sounds like. It's very broken sounding. Not super loud. It reminds me of the WR100 as far as how loud it is in decibels. They say it's about 90 decibels, but I don't know about that one. The next radio I'm going to show you is probably well over 100. But this one, the MD319, seems like a pretty well-rounded radio. A negative about it is the antenna. They really did a shitty job with putting the antenna on the side there. And it's not even that long of an antenna to begin with. And it's very flimsy. And kind of like the Recom, it has a very high chance over time of having antenna arthritis and just completely flopping around like a freaking noodle. It has that, there's not a lot of give to that antenna, and it's just not very well designed. I don't know why they wouldn't put it in the back or somewhere else, but I don't know. It's a pretty broken radio overall, but I thought it was worth it just because of the lulls, honestly. And it has newer technology, so it should activate on almost every alert that is issued. The next radio on the list is the one I literally just got today. The Redicus. This one, the Redicus TR625. This radio came out, I believe was it a year ago? It was less than a year ago. I think it was like 8 months ago. And it is pretty much the knockoff version of the 120. Because why? Because it has the same sounding button beeps. And then they make the stupid thing sound like the V15. So it's literally the button beeps of a V15 and a WR120. Look at that. And it says tornado warning as their no message kind of thing. When you press up here, the up arrow, no message, it says tornado warning on it. I don't know why that is, but that could fool somebody. They press that up arrow, oh shit, we got a tornado warning. No. This radio is brand spanking new. The only thing is it has firmware issues. I've heard that if you don't have the button beeps on, there's some functions in it that won't function properly. I think that it will activate, but after a while, the guy talking will shut off after like 30 seconds after an alert, while the other radios will go to the end of the statement or even beyond that. So that is a weird glitch that I've heard from this radio. It has a couple. The signal sounds really good on it, though. It actually sounds pretty good.
This is the NOAA Weather Radio, all hazards. WXL-70 broadcasting from a tower on Spencer Mountain in Renlo, North Carolina. Operating on a
To a
frequency
degree.
of 162.47.
Signal on it sounds decent. For some reason, my 261 gets reception problems back there, and I have no idea why the hell that's the case. Except, that, I don't know. Maybe it's interfering with another radio. I'm not sure. But this one, overall, first impressions seem pretty good. The only downside is the siren. The siren is definitely unique. And I bought quite a couple third header radios just to, I overpowered the first and second header with about 8 to 9, now 9 radios activating on the first 2 headers. I wanted a couple more third header radios. This one has a unique sounding siren, unlike some other ones, but the problem is how loud it is. It could drown out a lot of the other radio sirens. It is unbelievably loud. It's like putting the Sangean's siren on high mode. Like, it is blisteringly loud. It's louder than, probably the loudest radio on this entire table. Probably by a landslide, actually. I think it's the loudest weather radio, period, that I have ever heard. Besides the Sangean. Sangean's, you put that thing on high, it'll deafen you. If you like to go deaf, buy a Redicus and Sangean, like I did. I put the Sangean on medium because there's no way I could have that thing on high. We'll have to see how I like the Redicus. We'll have to see how good that thing is. It's a brand new radio. I haven't seen a lot of new desktop radios on the market nowadays. So it is nice to have another one and that it's brand new. Because I bought, like I said, used things on eBay like this one, and the tuners go to absolute dog shit like this one and the 382. Luckily the 382 recovered itself, but not all of them do. Not all of them do. So weather radios I have on the way, and this is where things get complicated. Don't have a lot of storage for adapters. I need to eventually buy another surge protector to be able to have more output for more radios. The other thing is this table is completely full. I could fit another handheld. I have a beige 259 coming in the mail, and the other 2 radios I have is an AlertWorks black edition, which will be just like the white edition, but it's the version before. This is the I think it's the WH version of AlertWorks, which is the newest version. It's the version behind that. But it's the black one. And I'll probably put the 74-200 on another table or something. But I'm out of room on this table. Pretty much completely. The next radio that I'll be buying, or I have bought, that will be arriving, besides the 259, is a Midland WR100 version 3 that I got from Pittsburgh EAS. Shout out to him. Really, really cool guy in the community. It is nice to be able to buy a radio from a fellow EAS member in the community. That one should be pretty cool. This is a version 4, and it has to have the best signal on the planet for it to be able to activate. Version 3 is kind of the step up from a version 2. It's not as rare as a version 2, but it's rarer than a version 4, and it's rarer than a version 5. Most WR100s that I've seen were version 4s and 5s. There were only about 4 version 3s that I saw. 4 to 5 version 3s. Out of all the WR100s that I saw, there were only about 4 to 5 version 3s. So version 3s are pretty rare. And they're pretty reliable as far as what I've heard. They don't have the wonky tuner like the V5s and the later version V4s have. So that's a plus. And version 3 seems to be a decently rarer radio. A lot of the radios I have are not super duper duper rare. The V15 would be I call it a semi-rare radio, where it's not super duper rare, but it's not super common. It's kind of a semi-rare. 519 is more of a semi-rare now, unfortunately. The rarest radio I probably own is the red logo 12-991. I haven't seen a 991 on eBay in months. And the 382 is definitely a semi-rare radio. It's not as common anymore. unfortunately. The rest of them, though, you can find them pretty much anywhere. I got the MD319 on Amazon. I got the Reticus on Amazon. The rest of them I've mostly gotten on eBay. eBay's been my go-to for buying radios recently. But the collection will go from 25, well, it's 24 now. I'll have a total of 27 by the end of this week, hopefully. And I may have to put a few on another table or on my computer set up here. I may have to put a few over there and just have the main table for whatever purposes. But I will not be able to fit any more on this table. It is pretty much impossible, besides a handheld. I also might replace that Accurite over there because it has a dead speaker and pretty much serves no purpose except for just a show radio. It does activate, but it's pretty much useless. It's decent radio if you can get one to work, but the speakers on those, I don't know, they might be pretty faulty. But that's besides the point. So I have about 25, technically 24 radios that are in service. The collection has grown a lot. I've basically put a lot of time and some effort into the EAS community trying to collect some more radios. I'm probably, once when I hit 25, I'm going to take a little break on collecting. The next goal is 30 no-weather radios, and I think I can manage to accomplish that goal and probably stop there for a really long time once I hit 30 eventually. But that's besides the point. Other thing is my 12-521. This radio, the display on it has gone to utter crap. Now, I unplugged it and plugged it back in. That's why it says channel 4. But the whole display on it it'll code it really weird where it'll distort the letters, it'll distort the numbers, it'll distort everything on it, and it just looks like absolute crap. I don't know why that is. It has to be the firmware's going bad on the thing. The tuner, I am shocked. The tuner has lasted over a year. This thing has been over a year in service.
Please. North winds around 5 miles an hour.
And it sounds pretty good, surprisingly.
Was around 60.
No problems. It activates perfectly on the first header like it should. Some of these, they have tuner issues, I've heard. They have the same issue. It's pretty much the same technology that's in the 382. It's the same kind of thing. Probably the same like tuner and all that. Tuners on these radios can have problems. Another thing is, besides the Zone Guard, I collected a second 262. This one. This is the newer version of 262, which I call the version 2 of 262. That is the first version, and that one is just like a V4100 that has to have the best signal on the planet to activate. Period. This one will activate every single time. That one will not. It sometimes will activate for an alert, it sometimes won't. The signal kind of has to be absolutely brilliant for the darn thing to do anything. And this is what...
Rating on a frequency of 162.475 megahertz. This transmit...
Signal seems to work fine for that one. I don't understand that one. That one activates like 70% of the time, but still it screws up multiple times. Activated for the last two weeklies, but didn't activate for the SVR today from Raleigh, surprising the crap out of me from Montgomery County. But yes, I have two 262s. I just thought I'd get a 262 that would work properly. 262s can have a lot of issues too, and at any moment, one of those tuners could just pop. At any moment. You saw that the 259 did the same stupid crap. The 382 did the same crap. And listen to it. Listen to the beauty of this thing.
Fell today, which brings the monthly total to 2.34.
It still works somehow. I'm shocked. I am absolutely shocked that thing revived itself from the dead. It would have taken me forever to buy another one, because they're just not as common as they were. If it did die, I would probably replace it with a 261. Another 04 version, just because whatever. That's pretty much concludes this collection video. I may have another collection video later on in the coming weeks as I update my collection even further. But quite a bit has changed since February when I did my last collection, and especially since spring 2021 when I did the collection, when I had 9 weather radios, and now I have 24, technically 25, but 24 in service. That one will go up to 27, hopefully by the end of the week. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I definitely enjoyed making it. And have a good one, y'all. Have a good one.